Coming to paperback and e-readers, Spinsterella Goth Girl Summer. Take a trip into the macabre world of goth modeling in the new millennium in this all-new Spinsterella story. Pre-order your copy of Spinsterella Goth Girl Summer at Amazon.com and other online booksellers everywhere. Coming to paperback and e-readers, Esteemed Season of the Witch Girl. The aspiring angel takes on a wicked teenage witch in this action-packed all-new Esteemed series adventure. Pre-order your copy of Esteemed Season of the Witch Girl at Amazon.com and other online booksellers. One of my viewers left a comment telling me that I could go out and make a living off my writing. And I wanted to explain to the viewer that no writer can ever make a living off their writing, and in most cases, a writer has to have other revenue streams in order to be able to make a living. Now, I have written over 80 books over the course of my over 20-year career, and over the course of that 20-year career, I really haven't made that much money off my writing, and usually when it comes down to my royalty reports, these days they basically are a nightmare to look at. I mean, over the course of the last 2 years, I have seen my royalty reports go from a peak of being in the hundreds of dollars, now barely some cases making $10 a month. And that happens because, sadly, when it comes down to writing isn't something that people make money off of, because a lot of people, especially a lot of black people, don't go out here and read. And since people don't go read, what happens to many writers like myself is we understand that we have to find other means to making a living, and that's why you can't go out here and think you're going to be able to make a lot of money on going out here writing books alone. Now, even for writers who have their books published at publishing houses, you cannot go out here and make money off your writing like that. Yeah, there are some best-selling authors out there like J.K. Rowling and many others who've had great success, but they are the exception and not the rule. No, when it comes down to a writer, usually a writer, when they sell a book to a publishing house, they usually get an advance of possibly maybe anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000, and that's just it for everything. And usually most writers who do sell their books, they've got jobs in other fields, and since they've got jobs in other fields, what they do is use that money to basically either be a supplement for their income, or they basically use it to go out here and buy things like that they really like paying for a classic car, or they use it for things like going out here and buying a new big screen TV, and they basically write it off. And if they have an agent, they'll have them sell the foreign and international rights and any other rights they can sell, but they don't usually rely on their money from their books, because usually in a lot of cases, you ain't gonna make a lot of money going out here selling books. No, I know that from my almost 15 years of running the SJS Direct Imprint, it's very hard to go out here and sell books. And in this business, 9 out of 10 books fail. And when you're an independent publisher, you have a lot of books that basically, sadly, don't wind up performing as well as you would expect. And sometimes you go out here and you put all your effort and your heart and soul into a book, sadly to see that the audience becomes extremely apathetic or indifferent to it, or in some cases, like I have run into, they find reasons to make excuses to not buy the book. Like I remember back in 2014, I went out here and took many of my toys from my toy collection, put them up on eBay to be able to pay an artist to design the cover for Isis Wrath of the Cyber Goddess after people complained about the covers. And after I went out here and spent all that money to get this cover done, these same people then came at me with a light-skinned, dark-skinned straw man argument in an effort to not buy the book, and they did it multiple times on ISIS books that were basically, people were giving me a hard time. A lot of these white feminists were giving me a hard time because they didn't like the ISIS series because it featured a black woman as a goddess. And basically these people, again, they'll sit there and complain. They'll sit there and complain about the books and say, oh, I don't want to buy it because of the cover. Then I spend money on the cover, and these same people will sit there and find another excuse to not buy the book. And I ran into that also on a book, Esteem the Sands of Time. I went out here and got the artist to do that cover, and again got the light-skinned, dark-skinned straw man argument, even though I was writing a story about a black princess who was going to be a story to show you that the whole concept of Disney princesses could be done with a black character. Wanted to show how that could be done, and then that book sold a couple more copies, but again, people gave me resistance, and again, because you get so much resistance, you can't really get much traction. I mean, it's one of those things that a writer has to deal with. Is you're not going to get a lot of traction, and this is why it's important for you to have a day job, because some of these books, some of them will sell okay, like Stop Simpin', The Man Crisis, but the numbers on those books, again, they're not blockbuster numbers. I mean, Stop Simpin' basically it sold a couple of about 400 or 500 copies. The Man Crisis has sold about 600 copies over the last 5 years. And again, while those are successes, again, it's not enough for you to be able to really cover your bills. No, it's not really enough to cover your bills and be able to make a living. This is something I know from life experience. And again, if you're writing, again, this is something you're doing basically. If you're an independent publisher like myself, you're doing it as a side hustle. Again, it's one of those side hustles you're doing just to go out here and get your work out there. Get your work out there so people can see it and people can see that you are a storyteller or you can write nonfiction. I basically publish these books to show my skills as a writer, and I also do have these go out and commission these covers because I want to again give back to the comic book industry that taught me how to read. I want to give back by helping a fellow artist, by again giving them some commission work that they can use to get credits, and also use those covers to get exposure, and also pay back this medium of comics that basically started me out on for my aspirations to be a writer. That's the reason why I do the books. And again, some books will do well, some books will struggle, and some books, again, won't get any traction. Again, that's all part of the business, but the business is very limited. It's very limited these days because, again, when it comes down to people, a lot of people don't read these days. And when it comes to black people, really, a lot of us don't read. And again, it's hard to, again, sell books to a group of people who are culturally known for, you can hide information from them by putting it in the pages of a book. And you can't, and when it comes down to black writers who want to give you information, you can get that information to people on YouTube more than you can with a book. I mean, that's the situation I ran into. I mean, my book sales did not really take off until I made appearances on Obsidian Radio back in 2018, and he did the Shawn James Initiative. That's when really sales started to take off. But things have basically cooled down. And again, as things have cooled down, I've been just trying to deal with it and trying to go on and try to find other ventures to go into. I mean, that's just the way things are. But no writer has ever been able to make a living off their work outside of those exceptions like E.L. James and the Harry Potter writer J.K. Rowling. I mean, most other writers, again, we have other things that we want to do. That's why I wanted to get a full-time job. Because I know when it comes to writing, again, it's a long game. It's a marathon run. And again, you have to have that patience and endurance in order to do that marathon run. And you're going to run, and again, you'll have passion for books. I mean, I have passion for a lot of stories, but the whole thing is you can put the passion on the page, but the hard thing is getting people to read the pages, and I try to do that by making these videos to help people get to know me. But lately, as I've been heading towards the 20,000 sub mark, I've been running into all of these people who have a problem with the way I talk talking about how I talk like a robot, not understanding an intelligent man is going to speak in an articulate fashion, talking about your cadence is off when I'm speaking clearly to you, and again, trying to talk to you to let you get to know me so that you can see that what you see in these videos is a reflection of the work I put in my books, a reflection of the work that I put in my books, because I go out here and again, I really want to put my best work on Amazon to sell to you, and I want to go out here and put my best face forward to sell to you. But the whole thing is, it becomes a lot harder these days. And again, it's always been hard for writers. Again, America and a society does not value writers. They don't value writing at all, even though writing is an essential skill. I mean, when it comes to writing, writing is an essential skill because it's a form of communication that allows you to be able to see how life is and get a picture of life. That's what I try to do with my writing. I try to give you a snapshot of life, basically give you a movie for your mind. That's my whole technique that I learned from things like comic books, screenwriting, and pro wrestling. Those are the foundations of how I learned how to write, and I use that to create a movie in your mind so you can imagine things in my fiction or get a picture of things, because I try to be objective in my nonfiction, like The Man Crisis and Stop Simping. I try to give you a balanced picture of things. That's all part of writing, but the whole thing is that writing, again, it's not a career where you're going to make a lot of money. You can talk to anybody, whether they work on a college campus or they are a romance writer or a sci-fi writer. Again, there's not much money in writing, but you do it because you love it. And I loved writing ever since I was 9 years old. I've loved writing ever since I was 9 years old, but there's no way you can make a lot of money on writing, again, outside of a miracle from somewhere. I mean, some of these guys, like the crowdfund comics guys, they get lucky in that they're and blessed in that they are able to go out here and again make their comics and be able to make their comics regularly. But when it comes down to me, again, I was blessed to be able to do the John Haynes at Death Store comic. I was able to again get a little bit of a following with the John Haynes series. I mean, I have some wins here. I mean, I've had a couple of books do 1,000 sales, like Esteemed Demons Anonymous, The Thetas, a Recipe for Success. But again, haven't had that blockbuster bestseller. I mean, many authors don't usually have blockbuster bestsellers, but the whole thing is that you do get a few here and there that will, again, do okay. But the whole thing is that's not enough money to live off of, and that's something that has stressed me out for the last couple of years, because I know that, again, when it comes down to writing, unless God blesses it, it's not really going to go but so far, because that's always been the business. It's always been the business because the culture of America is not a reading culture, hasn't been a reading culture for many years, and it's getting progressively worse because people, again, have been traumatized by Lucy Calkins and her balanced literacy program. They've been traumatized by Lucy Calkins' balanced literacy program to the point where they don't want to read, and that's what's leading to, again, a decline in book sales for many authors. Now, they're saying they're opening up a lot of Barnes and Nobles, but the whole thing is I don't really see those sales when I put my books out here. Again, I'm not really seeing the sales like I did from about 2018 to about 2021, where I could go out here and, again, see those book sales really be there, especially for the nonfiction. Again, book sales, again, you really can't live off them because they are up and down, and some books will do better than others, and you can work on an entire book. Like I spent a whole year writing Spinsterella Goth Girl Summer, and I don't know if that book is going to really sell because that book is over 600 pages, and if you go over, they say 300 to 400, you basically, it's going to be a hard sell for that book because you basically have to, again, price that book higher because of the page count. And I had, with Goth Girl Summer, I had to price it to $29.99 because it's over 600 pages. It has illustrations, and some people, they'll scoff at that price for a paperback, even though the digital is $9.99. I mean, people will scoff at a $9.99 price because they don't understand that there are things that go with the cost. But being a writer, again, a lot of times you do it, you know you're not going to make a lot of money. I mean, this is the rough part of this business. And again, I'll repeat it once more for those who don't like me repeating, big deal. The whole thing is that when you're a writer, you need a day job. You need a day job because you can't make money on these books. I'm telling you this from life experience. You can't make money on these books. You need a day job, and I've needed a day job 15 years ago. And even when I had day jobs, again, when I would put my writing out there, I was supplemental. It was always meant to be supplemental. Never was meant to be a main revenue source. It was never meant to be a main revenue source. And that's something everyone needs to understand about being a writer. Being a writer is not a career you can do because there are not that many writing jobs anymore. I mean, I read reports that Hollywood lost 50% of their writing jobs after the strike. So if you didn't have a day job to back you up and you don't have a savings to back you up, this is not a business that you want to get into. No, you don't quit your job full time, even if you're doing crowdfunded comics. Don't quit your day job. Do your day job and make that money, and do these comics on the side and take that money on the side and save it. That's my advice to you, because you can't live off these books. You can't live off these books at all. No, you just gotta, again, understand these are things that you do because you love them, not because you're gonna make a profit, because the chances of you making a profit on one of these books is 1 in a million. Now, if you want to support the SJS Direct Imprint and pick up some of my books, you can check out all of my books, whether they be fiction or nonfiction, on Amazon.com. And if you want to check out my first full comic, John Haynes at Death's Door, it's on Lulu.com, and you can pick up a paper copy for the same price as the 2022 Kickstarter. And if you want to see me be able to continue to make videos on this platform, you can continue to help support the channel by dropping a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, A Thorn in My Side. The man who rules the world takes on an agent from the CIA, from the Black Boule, in this all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get your copy of John Haynes, A Thorn in My Side in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, Amari's Revenge. The goddess next door is confronted by a Nubian queen out for revenge at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in this inaugural Isis series adventure. Get your copy of Isis, Amari's Revenge in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Esteem, Horror in the Hamptons. The aspiring angel tries to escape a house of horrors in this action-packed, all-new Esteem series adventure. Get your copy of Esteem, Horror in the Hamptons in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.